Christopher Nolan is one of the most talented and respected directors of our generation. Most of his films, including Memento, Interstellar, and most recently Tenet, all have a similar topic: time. In fact, Tenet may be the most Christopher Nolan film to date, as time is messed around with, reversed, interacts with itself, and in many other ways messes with the viewer's mind. And with a lot of intense action scenes incorporating this time travel mechanic, it has led many to ask, wouldn't this concept make a great video game? Imagine a game where you had the ability to go back in time to correct mistakes, solve problems, and even interact with your past self. In fact, this concept is so intriguing that a few prototypes have already been made. YouTubers have already created prototypes where you're able to go into a turnstile machine and create past and present versions of yourself. A non-exhaustive list of video games that have Tenet-like traits can be found on freegametips.com, link in the description. But one game that constantly comes to my mind when it comes to time inversion and reversal is the 2008 indie game, Braid. Just as the protagonist is dropped into a mission he doesn't fully understand, in Braid we are dropped into a cityscape with no information. It's only through beginning the first level that the rules are explained, step by step, until we come to an understanding of the game's mechanics, just as the protagonist learns, bit by bit, exactly the time threat they are up against. And at the end of the movie, we may still be confused as to how all the threads connect together. Just like how at the end of Braid, you may still feel confused about what the game's all about, and may need to go back and replay some levels, or reread some journals. But it isn't just the plot basics, or the fact that you need to go back, perhaps multiple times, to understand it all, that makes Braid like Tenet. There's also the awesome and necessary ability to invert and reverse time. By pressing a single button, your character, Tim, can reverse the flow of time. This ability is necessary to solve most of Braid's mind-bending puzzles, forcing the player to think outside the time box. Braid is broken up into different memories or worlds, each with its own unique twist on the time inversion principle. In one, you are introduced to objects that glow green, which are completely unaffected by Tim's time reversal effects. In another, you will have a ring you can drop to slow down time in its radius, which you can use to slow down enemies or cannon fire. But I want to focus on the mechanics of three worlds I find quite pertinent to Tenet. The first is the mechanic of the world, time and place. In this world, time only moves forward when Tim is moving to the right. When he stops, time freezes. And when he moves to the left, well, remember those scenes in Tenet where the protagonist is inverted and from the protagonist's viewpoint, he's moving normally and everything else around him is reversing? It's kind of like that. You move normally, but time and the entire level reverses. To solve several puzzles, you need to move from one side of the level to the other, rewinding and normalizing time as you go. Surprising consequences can result, like the enemy you just killed coming back to life. Just how an inverted enemy can pull off some trick backwards moves right when you think you had them. The first last three levels, in World 1, work even more like you're inverted. As if you just stepped out of the turnstile, you can freely move about the level, while everything is going backwards in time around you. It's only when you press the button to reverse time that things seem back to normal. This has a few interesting effects. The first being, what's happened happened. It can't be changed. The enemies have already come from the cannon, so you stepping on them doesn't kill them. Or, to quote Neil,
what's happened's happened. What's happened's happened. What's happened's happened. I warned you. What's happened's happened. I get it now.
In World 1, enemies appear from the bottom, dead, and fly back up, become alive, and continue backward. As they do, they can actually help you move forward. Seem familiar? But The big and major question with creating a Tenet video game isn't really the backwards mechanics, it's the idea of you interacting with your past or future self. How on earth can a game designer put this into a video game? And that leads us to the last world we're going to talk about in Braid: time and decision. In the levels of this world, Tim can be in two different places at once. You'll still control the normal time Tim, but a past version of Tim will also exist and be able to interact with your current Tim through pulling levers, killing enemies, and passing you keys from the past. And it's here that Braid seems the most Tenet-like to me. None of the puzzles in this world can be solved without your past Tim running around doing things. He can distract enemies for you to allow you to sneak past them into a room, or grab pieces of a memory for you while you're going on and getting into the exit. Instead of having red or blue for the associated colors of past and present self, Braid has the past version of Tim appear gray. And the mechanics of the gameplay aren't even complex or require a physics degree. Simply do what you want Tim's future past self to do, then rewind time. When you stop rewinding time, have Tim do something else, go someplace else. And Tim's future past self, now his past self, will go through all the actions Tim had previously gone through. Time flipping a switch, so that when Tim becomes gray Tim, he flips the switch at exactly the time you need him to get to where current Tim needs to be. Admittedly, it's not the most perfect or pure interaction with your past self there could be, but until video games are able to predict exactly what your avatar is going to be doing in the future, it's a pretty awesome start. So, will we ever get an officially licensed Tenet the video game? Well, in an interview with Christopher Nolan, Nolan states that,
making films is complicated. It takes a long time. Making video games is even more complicated and it takes even longer. My time and energy, I've just wound up devoting it all to film and just seeing how difficult that is. It's not something you'd ever take on lightly.
So, while an official Tenet video game involving time inversion, worlds where time flows backwards, and interaction with your past or future self may not ever be made, there's always a massively popular 2008 indie game involving time inversion, worlds where time flows backwards, and interaction with your past or future self. The game Braid. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Please be sure to call your mom tonight, tell her that you love her, and do a good deed for some stranger. And we'll see you next time.